Thanks to the Tamarisk Coalition for inviting us and all of you for being here. Before we get into it, I want to introduce Mike Wight. He is the River Restoration Director for Conservation Legacy. And in the 5 years he's been in that role, he has mobilized over 500 youth and Corps members in endeavors all across the Colorado Plateau in both trainings and riparian restoration.
Thanks, and this is Dave Bastian. He's the projects coordinator with the Utah Conservation Corps based out of Logan, Utah. Dave's been in that position for 6 years, and he's helped develop a wide array of new project sponsors and project types over that time. In this presentation, we want to give you an idea of the sort of changing climes that we see across the country and a few ways that conservation corps are adapting and developing new innovations to focus on those changes.
Are we advancing this? Yeah. There we go. Awesome. Give us a second to figure out our technology. Great. So is there anyone here who doesn't know what a conservation corps is? Go ahead. You can raise your hands if you don't. Wow, that's great. I'm glad everyone here knows what a conservation corps is. I'm going to give you my definition. And that is that we take young people from across the country, we give them the training and the tools necessary to conduct conservation projects on public lands all across America. In addition to giving them those tools and trainings, we also give them a powerful resume builder that hopefully will help them in whatever their next endeavor is, whether that's continuing in public lands management or going into things that maybe we would have never thought of. We actually have 2 alums who are running food companies in the Utah area that are incredibly successful. And I bump into them all the time, and they always tell me that if they hadn't done the UCC, it would not have given them the courage to take on that task. And that's something that we're really proud of. So we trace our roots back to the Civilian Conservation Corps, which is a FDR-era program in the 30s to combat the rampant unemployment. And in 2011, the UCC got to go to a Civilian Conservation Corps gathering in St. George, Utah. And I was really excited about this opportunity, but I was also actually kind of terrified because here we were meeting essentially our forefathers, and all these guys were CCC vets, but they were also vets of World War II, and in a few cases, Korea and Vietnam. How often do you get to meet a real American hero? And not very often. And I was afraid that maybe they would look at us and say, you guys are cute, but we were starving to death, and we really needed this, and we are the real Conservation Corps. So I'll be honest, I wanted an endorsement, and I'll let you hear what I heard.
I spent 18 months in one camp, and I got out, and there was still no work around, so I went back in, went to a camp in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, and they were just about ready to close, and they shipped us all up into North Adams, Mass. But it was a great experience. If the kids could do it today, good luck to them.
So those of you who know the Greatest Generation know they can be men of few words. I took that as an absolute ringing endorsement. And I will say that across the board, every one of them there just basically welcomed us with open arms as brothers and sisters in conservation, which was an awesome experience and truly one of the highlights of my life in this role. And so the CCC boys had some pretty powerful allies above them. They had the Departments of Transportation, Agriculture, and Labor, and what was then known as the War Department, today the Department of Defense. And we also have some powerful allies above us. We have the federal programs like AmeriCorps, and we have the the Corps Network, which oversees 127 service corps operating in all 50 states and DC. So it's a powerful group of people ensuring both that we are operating to our highest standards and giving us the tools to help us operate at those highest standards.
So the mission of Utah Conservation Corps is up here, developing the conservation leaders of tomorrow through service and education. Conservation Legacy's mission is empowering individuals to positively impact their lives, their communities, and the environment. And these missions are mirrored in the 120 some odd corps across the country. Many of these same points lie in the missions of those programs. How we reach those missions is by engaging young adults in crews and individual placements with our public land management agencies, giving them the opportunity to gain skills, grow their resume while completing tangible and important project work on public lands.
So throughout our history, we've engaged in what probably could be called traditional Conservation Corps work those CCC boys would recognize. Trail work, building trails, rerouting trails, restoring trails all over the American West and America's public lands, maintaining fence, building fence, just those conservation projects that they did. And they did them using traditional tools we still use, tools they would recognize, Plasky, rock bar, loppers, McLeod's, tools that have been the backbone of the conservation movement, and really, a CCC boy would recognize, and the same things they swung when they first entered the field. And we've done that with traditional sponsors. For the most part, federal agencies were our main source of work. Agencies like the Park Service, the BLM, which was then called the, Noel, help me out here, was it the office, yes, the Grazing Services, and the Forest Service. So, again, things that a CCC boy would recognize, we plopped him in our ranks today. But we're seeing changes in federal land management that is, kind of changing some of those partners. Budgets are not what they were and probably won't be for the foreseeable future. So rather than looking at this as a stumbling block or a wall, we've actually looked at this as an opportunity for growth. And we've diversified our portfolio of people we partner with. We still partner with those federal agencies, but we've added nonprofits that manage conservation easements. We've added urban public land managers and open space programs to our fold. And we've also partnered with state entities that are perhaps outside that realm of, state parks into our state foresters and other state entities, like in Utah, SITLA, things like that have been really great opportunities for our members to also consider just the wide array of employment opportunities they have.
Diversifying our project sponsors and project partners has also led us to diversifying the members and the leaders that we serve. There's a lot of need out there. A couple of populations that a number of conservation corps have been aiming their sights at are the Native American population and the population of recent era veterans. So we're serving a broad array of people across the landscape as well. In addition, with new project types and new partners, we need new tools to complete some of this work. So we've increasingly had GIS and tablet technology out in the field with us, some heavy equipment to complete some of these new project types. We're investing in satellite texting devices for our projects in remote locations that can be charged with a solar charger out there. Those are replacing the agency radios that we might have received from our project partners in the past, and allow us to be on the up and up and at the cutting edge of risk management in remote locations. Some of the capacities that these tools give us are, weed mapping, project accomplishment mapping, developing custom drop-down menus for lots of different inventory and mapping projects. In addition, the people who carry out those projects are often looking a little bit different than a traditional crew. We're sending out increasing numbers of individual placements and interns to help fill a capacity void that many of our partners are seeing. In addition, small teams are accomplishing projects such as inventory, monitoring, and retreatment, like this strike team on the Dolores River earlier this year.
Yeah, so it's an exciting time to be a part of a conservation corps, but it's not without its challenges. We're finding ourselves, like we've said before, in increasingly remote locations with project sponsors who in the past we would show up and perhaps, we were coming into a project that had had years and years of NEPA and study behind it. We're now sometimes finding ourselves in the role of not just a workforce, but also sometimes an assistant or even the primary planner of how some of these projects should unfold. Again, it's a unique opportunity, and rather than, like I said before, looking at it as a hurdle, we're looking at it as an opportunity. We have a lot of corps, UCC included, have started to purchase rafts. And the rafts, in some cases, are replacing trucks and horse packers. As you can imagine, taking chainsaws and herbicide down a river in a rubber raft presents a lot of safety challenges and a lot of logistical challenges, but it's also pretty exciting. It's allowing us to access areas easily that otherwise would have been all but inaccessible.
Another interesting project that we conducted in partnership with the Tamarisk Coalition this spring was Conservation Legacy engaged a couple of interns with a local contractor to complete soil sampling and depth of the groundwater testing in preparation for cottonwood pole planting. And if you're more interested in this topic, I encourage you to attend Tess Ruswick's presentation at 1:15 tomorrow to learn more about this.
A similar project that we've done, we started out with, it's a project we partnered with NRCS to monitor southwest willow flycatcher habitat. We used iPads and those aforementioned rafts and floated a stretch of the San Juan River, inventorying that habitat. We're going to return to that stretch this spring and fall to do some planting and some invasive, woody invasive removal. The goal here is a better southwest willow flycatcher habitat, and these tools have helped us do that. I also want to talk about kind of a collaborative training and collaborative partnership we've been engaged in for 5 years now, and that's the Escalante River Watershed Partnership, which we've got a few folks here, and if you want to get talk to those folks, I would say, because they can tell you a lot better about the whole process than I'm going to right here in the time I have. But it's a big endeavor. It's a really cool endeavor with backing from such diverse funders as the Walton Family Foundation and partners from the National Park Service and the BLM, the Tamarisk Coalition, and Nature Conservancy. So it's been a really, really cool thing to be a part of. And we think that the training we do to kick off that endeavor every year and that amount of work is probably the largest core training that happens in the country. And if it isn't, I really want to hear about it because we've been saying that at presentations all over, and I hate to lie. So yeah, it's an exciting endeavor. And again, there's folks here who are part of that. And when you get a chance, talk to them about it.
And here's a little visual on that training. So enjoy this quick video.
The Escalante River watershed is unique in many respects. It is the Escalante River was one of the last rivers discovered in the U.S. It's roughly 100 miles long, and it's almost entirely public land. Also, exotic plants have moved in the last 20 to 30 years in this watershed, primarily Russian olive, and that's a lot of our work now is to try to get that out because it can outcompete the native species.
Russian olive trees were introduced into the United States after the Dust Bowl era of the 1930s to control soil erosion. It outcompetes the native vegetation, which in turn affects wildlife diversity. Russian olive removal began in the year 2000 with only a few dedicated individuals and volunteers. The Escalante River Watershed Partnership was formed in 2009. The partnership brought together a diverse group of stakeholders for the benefit of the watershed's health. The partnership currently consists of over 30 participants, including federal agencies, state agencies, nonprofit organizations, private organizations, and private landowners.
UTC! CREC! CCYC!
I'm here with the Canyon Country Youth Corps out of Monticello, Utah, the Utah Conservation Corps out of Logan and Salt Lake City, Utah, as well as the Coconino Rural Environment Corps out of Flagstaff, Arizona. These corps are here working with the Escalante River Watershed Partnership to remove invasives throughout the watershed as part of a multi-year project. We're in year 2 here of training with the Escalante River Watershed Partnership. You know, the training's really comprehensive. It's 2 weeks in the field, learning how to use chainsaws, learning how to safely apply herbicide. You know, we've got a host of educational components that are really important to this project. Leave no trace in the backcountry. Safety workshops, how to horse pack and pack your gear. Plant identification, riparian ecology, issues with invasive species such as Russian olive. The Conservation and Youth Corps are really where we see the intersection of the conservation and ecologic goals of this partnership and the social goals that it also supports.
CCYC, the Canyon Country Youth Corps, is an opportunity for first experiences and for learning and personal enrichment. For me, this is my first time camping outdoors, my first time in the Southwest, and also my first time working with a chainsaw. It's an invaluable experience, helps you grow, and prepare you also for the workforce.
I've been going to school in Idaho and coming down here for an internship in recreation management. I look forward to be able to network with the people here in land management and natural resources and to learn more about how to take care of our environment and be able to have a good job in conservation and recreation management in the future.
In orientation on Sunday or Monday, we were told that, this is 10 years of work that we're doing in 2 months, and hearing that, you really feel proud and you really feel quite astounded at how much we're doing collectively, and it can't just be a one person, one program job. Collectively working together is probably the most you can get as far as impact.
We've been putting people on the ground out here cutting Russian olive for over 3 years now. One of the great things about it is we have people that come back year after year. And those folks can, move up from members to leaders to our field coordinators. And it's really allowed them to pass the knowledge along, their skills along to the new members in the field, through formalized trainings as well as just teachable moments.
My name's Hannah Ryan. I'm a crew leader for CCYC, and this is my second year in Escalante.
My name's Sam Keller. I'm a crew leader for CCYC, and this is my second year here on the mighty Escalante.
Hey everybody, my name's Ryan. I work for CREC. I'm one of their woods bosses. This is my 4th season on the Escalante.
My name is Cassidy. I'm the operations assistant for CREC. This is my 2nd season on the Escalante.
Hi, my name's Elena. I'm a crew leader for Utah Conservation Corps, and this is my 2nd season in Escalante.
Hi, I'm Trace. I'm a crew leader with CCYC.
And I'm Molly, and I'm a crew leader with CCYC too, and this is our 2nd season together on the Escalante project.
I'm Shane Thone.
I'm Mariella Minton, and we are the individual placements working with the BLM.
And we've been working on this project for 2 years.
Welcome, everyone. What a great day. And the end of a long training week, huh? Maybe even 2 weeks for those of you.
Grand Staircase really is a remarkably diverse area in many ways, both ecologically, geologically, and paleontologically. And I think the youth have a great opportunity to come up and work in such a remarkable, special place.
This investment by the foundation is extremely valuable because this is the next wave of future conservationists.
There's no better investment that the government can make than investing in America's youth. It actually engages the kids and it teaches them hard work and it connects them with the outdoors.
When you leave Escalante, I want you to stop and think about what you've learned here, what a place this is, and then I want you to come back. I want you to come back in numbers. I want you to bring your families, your spouses, your in-laws, whoever you can bring, and you can bring them back here and say, this is what I've had a part of. I want you to know I love Escalante. I am passionate about Escalante. I'm grateful that you are here doing what you are doing because it's making us better.
And finally, look out, Russian Olive. We're sending 80 trained SWAT crews to get you.
So I hope that gives you a good idea of the training and one of the unique partnerships that we're involved in. And it's a model of a number of partnerships across the West that I hope you'll hear about later today as well. In addition, tagging off of that training bit, the other innovation that conservation corps are working towards is better training. So by becoming certified applicator businesses, we can provide legitimate training and certifications to our members, as well as make sure we're applying appropriately and safely. In addition, as the remote project locations and raft-supported work necessitates a higher level of medical training. So wilderness first responder and wilderness first aids are a common part of our training curriculum these days.
Yeah, so it is, like I said before, an exciting time to be a part of the Conservation Corps world and doing these projects that are making these areas a lot better and a lot healthier. And there is an incredible variety of projects we can engage in, like you see up there. And hopefully maybe in the Q&A section we can hear about some of the possible things you guys have, and we can tell you about some of the innovative ways we can tackle those projects. I don't think really if it's a hand project, there's a way we can do it. And so, yeah.
Finally, there's effort underway at the national level. You all probably heard of Secretary of Interior Sally Jewell. She's supporting a bold new effort called the 21st Century Service and Conservation Corps to engage thousands more young adults and veterans in work on benefiting, restoring, enhancing our public lands. And that's going to hopefully bring more funding to programs like ours and projects such as you might have. You can find more out at 21csc.org. And really it's all about how do we engage this next generation of future land and water stewards. That's really what our programs are after. Thank you.
Yeah, please. Tell us about some projects you have. That's what I would really love to hear about. Or some maybe areas where we could help you guys. Or there's other corps in here too, who might want to stand up and talk about what they're doing. Yeah, back there.
Upper watersheds that have been subject to significant burns recently. Can you talk a little bit about that? What work is going up there on those lands?
Well, you know, I think it comes down to the project type and the capacity of the corps. Typically, if it's a hand project, you know, when I think of a burn, I think of, well, what are the needs? Comes to mind, you know, laying wattles, erosion control type projects, seeding and planting. Is probably what you're thinking about. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm just asking because there's so many acres in New Mexico that have been subject to significant burns. I'm just interested to hear whether the Conservation Corps, Youth Conservation Corps is out there and what they're doing.
Yeah, I think that's certainly a type of project that we can invest in. And, you know, from my experience, we've worked on a few small projects doing that kind of work, but it's certainly within the capabilities of Conservation Corps.
The Utah Conservation Corps has tackled a couple of projects that have been some pretty extremely burned areas. And basically what we have done at this point is what Mike mentioned. It's mostly been erosion control because that's the immediate need after an area's been burned like that. And we've also done some, you know, kind of bucking up and getting down trees out, especially if it's a recreation area, and trying to reopen trails, and also just put in a lot of erosion control for those trails. And in some cases, we've done them in wilderness areas where we've used crosscut saws, which has been really cool. Yeah, but if there's, we haven't got yet into a lot of restoration in terms of planting. I think that's just because, like I said, right now the immediate need is erosion control, and we'll probably see that come down the road. So I think too, the next kind of big task for us is to locate some innovative funding opportunities to restore those areas. So hopefully that answers your question. I think there was another one over here I saw, but okay.
How difficult is it for you to introduce new methods into such a broad organization?
I think, you know, for us, we've got great leadership. We're part of a university too, and so I think innovation is kind of in our DNA. And you know, when I got hired was about the time when our director and founder was starting to see the writing on the wall and realize that federal agencies' money was going to go down, and we needed to look into things. And so, you know, I can mostly only speak for the UCC, and it'd be great to hear from a couple of the other corps that are here. But for us, I'd like to think it's been pretty easy. You know, we've done such things we didn't even mention in the presentation, like we've utilized cargo bikes in areas where vehicles weren't appropriate, and we have a crew going out this year. We're going to be exclusively using those bikes in place of trucks, hauling all their gear to do trail work. So I think that's an exciting endeavor. We've bought a lot of tools that used to be the domain of our partners, like chippers. You know, and we're going to buy. I mean, there's just, you know, I'd like to think we're pretty quick to adapt. I mean.
Yeah, I think the key is the lead time and the partnership in order to effectively, you know, and your project, your question could be pretty broad, but, you know, for example, we've got some large weed inventory and mapping projects that we're looking at, and, you know, it's been a discussion over a year's time about how to implement and what we want the outcomes to be, the final product to look like, figuring out the software, who's going to use it, and how do we develop that training in-house are kind of the steps that it takes to develop new program types. And so having understanding partners, it's not a, you know, if it's not an existing skill set, it's not just a jump when you say jump kind of a thing, but more of a let's work together to figure out how we can do this and what the appropriate timeline is. And that's an important piece of what we do across the board because it takes time to recruit and hire and train young adults. So we need some lead time, but we're very open to being flexible and looking at new project types like some of the ones we've discussed have all kind of popped up in the last couple of years.
Thanks so much, you guys.